Cutback for Vasilev, and Lukic! A banger of a strike for Jovan Lukic's first MLS goal!
It's fallen out to Westfield! Oh, wow! He's nearly taken the roof of the net off! Philadelphia pounce again!
Who gets his goal in his Union debut? The record signing, off and running in his first appearance for the club.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. And let's just get straight to the point, people. I don't know about you, but last night it feels like a loss for the Philadelphia Union. Despite them drawing 0-0 against DC United, it really feels like points were left on the table for Philadelphia Union. I know Sean Johnson played out of his mind last night, making multiple saves against the Union. But this is a game. This is a game that the Union needed to get 3 points. You're coming off of a weekend where you just got your first win against CF Montreal. Now you have another struggling team coming to town to Subaru Park. You gotta get 3 points. Union failed to do that last night. Drawing 0-0 at Subaru Park, have yet to get a win this season in Major League Soccer at Subaru Park, a place where they had 12 of them last season. So doing the show solo, as you guys can tell, because usually if you guys watch this live on YouTube, as a reminder, live every single podcast on YouTube, usually a day after the game. We had comments last game, people saying, hey, I listened to Spotify, decided to check out a live show. So you people that are listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to your podcast, interact with us on social media, because I'm definitely going to need interaction tonight doing the show solo. So I don't have any news to talk about. I don't have much to discuss to lead up to this game other than getting straight into this game, I think. But I hope you guys are doing fine on this lovely, that's not a lovely Sunday evening. It's cold. I don't know how you guys are in Philadelphia or wherever you guys are listening to the podcast, but down in Maryland, it feels like once the afternoon hit, it started to get super windy, super cold fast. And I see we have a couple days here in Maryland that's going to be a little bit chilly, a little bit cold, just like it was last night at Subaru Park. I don't know if any of you guys in the comments right now went to Subaru Park last night. Maybe you're listening. I don't know if you guys went to Subaru Park, but I hope you guys check that weather, because I saw as the game went on, the longer it went on, it was going to get chilly. It was going to get windy. And I regret wearing shorts last night. I did come prepared with a long sleeve, but man, it gets chilly some of those nights on the banks of the Delaware. But let's go ahead and pull up some of your comments. See Valerie already in the chat. Hello and welcome. Jillian saying hi, Todd. Sexy Hoagie says this was the most on-start time in the history of the pod. I wonder why, Hoagie. I wonder why. Kyle chimes in, says Todd. Yeah, you guys go Flyers, Jillian says, and I agree with Valerie here. Go Pens, even though they fell 3-2 to the Flyers in the first game. Flyers, one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. You know, I was texting some friends saying, the Penguins, they're one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs, and I think I would make an argument that the Flyers are probably the hottest team in the NHL right now. So we'll see what happens. Valerie says 39 degrees in her part of PA. Wolfie, hello and welcome. Love the weather at the Sub. Hoagie says it was cold. Yeah, I agree, Hoagie. It was cold. It was definitely cold. Jay comes in and says DC park the bus, engage the e-brake, and slash the tires. Not wrong about that, and we'll get straight into that for sure. But yeah, last night we see one change to the starting lineup with Ezekiel Alladoh coming in for Ben Bender, who started the previous game in Montreal. Alladoh, we know, coming off of his first assist with the Union last weekend against CF Montreal. And we see Bradley Cornell go once again with that partnership with him and Bruno Damiani. Again, we'll get into that here a little bit. Dylan John-Jock returns to the bench after missing out last weekend against CF Montreal due to a knee contusion. He does sub on last night against DC United with Jesús Bueno getting yet again another start. And we'll talk about Jesús Bueno's performance, which I think, again, another solid start from the Venezuelan. I think he's making a case to be a locked-in starter. And once we get to that point in the show, I would love to know what you guys think about Jesús being a locked-in starter or not. But only 2 subs last night for Bradley Cornell in last night's game, with Dylan John-Jock being one of them, and then the other being Kevin Sullivan. This is the first time in a while that we've not seen Bradley Cornell use his entire bench. And yeah, I know as Union fans under Jim Curtin, you guys might maybe used to seeing no full use of the bench. Jim Curtin, it seemed like it was either El Senior coming off the bench, Corey Burke coming off the bench. There was usually Jim Curtin's 1-2 punch. One of those 2 guys coming off a bench, and occasionally a Sergio Santos. But yeah, Bradley Cornell has been a manager in his time in the Philadelphia Union. Usually uses all 5 of his subs. Did not happen last night. But that's pretty much everything I want to highlight from the game, because I do have a lot that I want to talk about. And I guess we can go ahead and start with that partnership of Ezekiel Alladoh and Bruno Damiani last night. I am curious what you guys think in the show. What you think about their performance? And I've seen a lot of comments on social media. I've had people tagging me on Twitter. I've had people reaching out to me after reading my latest article talking about last night's game. How, yeah, can you find positives in a 0-0 result against a struggling team? And I'm sure we'll get a couple rants from me later on in the show with my regards or my opinions on that. But yeah, Bradley Cornell, he decides to go back with Ezekiel Alladoh and Bruno Damiani. And I just want to be clear. There is a lot of money invested into these 2 strikers. Bradley Cornell, the team, they're just not going to go away from them. There's way too much money involved. And I get it, right? You pay all this money, you expect goals. It's a fair point. I mean, we get comments all the time, people being upset with Bruno Damiani not scoring goals. Haven't seen a goal from Ezekiel Alladoh yet in MLS play. I did see some people on social media, though, last night saying that they were more impressed with Ezekiel Alladoh than they were with Bruno Damiani. And this fan base, if you read what people are saying on social media, it does seem like they've had enough of Bruno Damiani after a year and a couple months. And look, we know it takes some time to adjust to MLS. We've seen it with so many players in the past, and some players they have no problems adjusting to life in MLS. But my argument, and it's always been on this podcast, is, especially this season, is it fair to really judge the forwards when they're not getting chances created for them? I know Damiani had a couple chances last night against DC United, a couple half chances. I know I've been one of the people that praise his off the ball movement, his work rate, hold up play. But that's simply not good enough for some fans because they want to see goals. And I get it. Goals are what this fan base expects from strikers. But isn't it kind of the same argument that we had people in the fan base making for Mikel Uhre? And isn't it funny now? You see comments on social media. You hear people in the stadium saying, man, this team needs Mikel Uhre. They miss Mikel Uhre. But isn't this the same fan base that was complaining about Mikel not scoring goals? But yet, Jose and I were some of the biggest supporters of Mikel Uhre, saying that he is opening up so much play for this team, making the runs in behind, creating space for teammates to run into, running down the channels. And now it's funny, after he's gone and the Union are missing that, people are suddenly realizing that, hey, look, Mikel Uhre might not have been as bad as we were judging him when he was here. He may not have scored all the goals that the fan base was expecting him to score, but he was doing the dirty work. And my argument would be, okay, yeah, you're not getting the runs in behind, but Bruno Damiani is, in fact, doing the dirty work. He's going in there. He's tackling. He's putting pressure on the ball. He's getting fouled, winning challenges for the Union. He's good in the air. Yeah, maybe you would want to see him utilize a little bit more on corner kicks inside the 18-yard box on set plays. But he is a target for the Union all the time on throw-ins. I mean, go back and watch any game you want. Anytime the Union have a throw-in, it's always into Damiani, and hooping Damiani can flick it on to somebody else. We see it last weekend against Montreal, right? In the goal that Montreal scores, where it's a long ball up top from Andre Blake. Damiani heads it to Ben Bender. Bender loses out on that challenge. If he's able to get to that ball, Bender's in 1v1. Don't have to rehash the Montreal game. But again, my argument would be Damiani's doing enough, in my opinion, all off the ball to justify him starting. But Bradley Cornell's not going to go away. He is simply not going to go away from giving Bruno Damiani, Ezekiel Alladoh opportunities. Yes, we've seen Alladoh on the bench multiple times coming off the bench, but the whole idea was that the club could envision a partnership between Bruno Damiani and Ezekiel Alladoh, and they're just simply not going to abandon that. They're not. They're simply not. There's way too much money invested. And yeah, maybe some fans would say, well, sell Bruno Damiani, get rid of Bruno Damiani. Well, you're going to take a loss on him, aren't you? Right? How can you expect to get your money back for a striker that's simply not scoring goals? Yes, the little stuff that Bruno Damiani does, fantastic. But at the end of the day, teams invest in strikers because of their ability to score goals. Look at Bruno's numbers before he came to Philadelphia Union. His last season with oh man, why am I blanking on the club's name? This is not good. I almost said Boston Rivers. He was not at Boston Rivers when the Union brought him. Oh no, this is not good. This is not good. I'm blanking on the name. Where's Jose? I need Jose here. And one of you guys are going to tell me once you get to the comment section. I'm sure. Nacional, thank you. Yes, so we see Bruno scoring goals right before the Union buy him. Simply hasn't happened with the Union. But how can you ultimately believe the Union can get money back if you say, well, he's not scoring goals for the Union? How can you convince another team to pay you $3.2 million or just about that fee that the Union played to Nacional when he's not scoring goals? You're not going to get that. Yeah, sure, teams may value what he does off the ball, his physical presence, but he's not been getting form for the Union in terms of goal scoring. So I don't see Bruno Damiani going anywhere. And yeah, I've seen some of those comments on social media saying, well, yeah, just sell him. And you don't want to put him on the bench because it kills his value. And so I do kind of feel like you're stuck to keep playing Bruno Damiani. And again, I just want to make it clear. I personally want to bench Bruno Damiani because, in my opinion, he's doing enough off ball to justify starting. Jay brings up a comment here, says, surprise Malik didn't go on the field last night. And I do think that's a fair comment. I said the same thing to somebody else too. And the announcers were also talking about how Malik's a special talent. He's one to watch, just like Kevin Sullivan. And I think Devin Kerr is spot on when he made that judgment of Malik. But is Malik really in a position to play significant minutes? Is he going to be a player that can create 1v1, which I think the Union needed last night against a team in DC United who, as you mentioned, Jay, earlier, parked the bus? I don't know if Malik's the type of player to take players on 1v1 yet in his career. Yes, I know we've seen it in MLS Next Pro, but let's be honest, right? It's a huge difference between MLS Next Pro compared to MLS. But I wouldn't have mind seeing Malik come in. Bradley Cornell did say after the game that he thought the flow of the game was fine, didn't want to disrupt that. And so that's why he only made 2 substitutions. And that's fair, right? I don't think that the Union were god-awful. But the point of, yeah, you need 3 points because of the way how you started the season. And Malik's a goal scorer. We've seen it with MLS Next Pro, with Union too. Why not bring him in? Especially with all the crosses that the Union decided to hoof in this game with 44, which is well above their average of about 27 per game. But again, it makes sense. I mean, a team's going to sit deep, and the Union are a team that values crossing the ball, creating chances that way. It's been their MO for years. They're not simply going to go away from that. But yeah, again, I mean, you're looking for 3 points, you're looking for goal scorers, and I don't think it hurts to bring Malik on. Maybe you go to a back three, because in my opinion, it's a game where you need to get all 3 points. Jay also says Alladoh has improved a lot the past 2 games, though it was a low bar given how he started. Yeah, it's very, very true. Valerie says Ezekiel did much better at Montreal, but regressed a bit last night, in her opinion. Wolfie says, I think we need a striker pairing that works better. Damiani paired better with Uwa. 2 hold-up strikers running into each other last night was a blowing issue. And that's a fair point, Michael. We did see that a couple times, and we've seen that multiple times this season already between Damiani and Alladoh running in with each other. And I think that's only going to come with chemistry, playing more with each other, understanding each other's runs. But isn't it funny, Michael, how last year we saw Damiani play better with Uwa. Baribo played better with Uwa, because essentially they were the same striker making the same runs. And now you run into the same problem with Alladoh. And Alladoh does have speed. Was expecting him to be the striker to make these runs in behind. But right now it does seem like they're trying to use him in the hold-up, just like they are with Bruno Damiani. Did the Union go out in the summertime and target a striker that specifically can target the back line like Mikal Uwa? Maybe. I don't think that's Malik. I think we could all agree here on the podcast that it's definitely not Stash to stretch the back line. I thought it would be Alladoh. We really haven't seen it yet. Is the potential there? Yeah, I think so. But I think it's safe to say the Union don't have a player like Mikal Uwa on this roster to stretch the back line. I think it's fair. Marcus says, so your solution is to keep playing a striker who doesn't score? Bench him. Who are you going to play, Marcus? Who are you going to score? Who are you going to play? Do you believe in Stash? Do you believe in Malik to be the starting striker next to Alladoh? Do you switch the formation up to 4-2-3-1? I wouldn't be opposed to that. I wouldn't. But let's also be real here too. Cornell started Bruno Damiani in every single game. Do we think Cornell goes away from starting Damiani? Probably not. Cornell's praised him enough for his work off the ball. Happy with the physicality that he brings. And let's be honest too, right? Damiani presses better than what we've seen from Alladoh. Now granted, we see these 2 guys press last night. We saw them pressing against Montreal. And if you want to play in a Bradley Cornell team, you've got to press. You simply got to press. I get it, right? Strikers are paid to score goals. None of the strikers are scoring goals. And yeah, sure, you can make the argument that the strikers were scoring goals against defense force, but it's a game that you can't judge. There should be no judgment against defense force. Everybody was scoring for fun. You guys listening to the podcast, I'm sure, could have scored against defense force. How can we judge a striker when you're not getting service? I don't know. That's just me. It's just me. Maybe it changes when Quinn Sullivan comes in. Maybe it does. I mean, I know Bruno Damiani has a chance, a huge chance last night with that cutback pass from Indiana Vasilev, and it's a good save by Sean Johnson. Damiani gets the rebound and can't put that one on target. Sean Johnson has his near post covered with that second shot. I know there was a acrobatic shot later on in the second half from Damiani where it's a cross in from Nate Harriel, takes a deflection. Damiani comes back for the ball and tries an acrobatic attempt. Can't put that one on target. But again, when these strikers aren't getting a ton of service, should the Union even play with strikers then, right? Wolfie says he wanted to let Bruno get his birthday goal. That is true. Sexy Hoagie says this must be how Columbus felt after getting Gazdag, which, by the way, yeah, Gazdag started last night's game, 67 minutes played, did not look great against New England last night for the Crew, and Union have Columbus coming up next Saturday, have a midweek game against Toronto. A little bit more on that in a bit. Pat says we need more creativity. Alladoh to the bench, Ilowski to striker with Damiani, Kevin starting as 10 with Vasilev, who will continue to start due to his superior high pressing ability and work rate. And again, I agree. I've said that. It's why Vasilev's in the starting lineup, because of the press. Cornell values the press. But when you're a team that's needing creativity, I don't know. I think Vasilev, you either drop him back as a 6 or you put him to the bench. You guys have heard me say that multiple times on the podcast. Now, do you go to that 4-2-3-1? Play 3 against the attacking midfield roles? It's possible. It's possible. Jay says, pair Kevin with Danley at the 10s, let Bruno and Lukic hold down the 8s. And that's pretty much where I'm at, because I don't think Cornell's really going to abandon the 4-2-2-2. And yeah, sure, the 4-2-3-1 can play as a 4-2-2-2 as well. Very similar formations, very fluid. Especially if you're playing Ilowski as that central number 10, he could float up top, which we've seen him do that multiple times. But yeah, it's interesting for the situation that the Union are in right now. Marcus says, Malik, got to try something. Switch formations out with one striker. Yeah, wouldn't that be something, right? To bench both Alladoh and Damiani and play Malik as the lone striker. I'm sure Kyle and Jillian Omni, who cover Union 2 heavily, would love to see that. But yeah, I don't know what you do to get these strikers chances. Kevin seems like an easy solution, a player that has the ability, the confidence to try to take players on 1v1. But isn't that part of it too? This team really does seem to be struggling with players that are confident taking on the opposition 1v1. Quinn Sullivan did it a lot last year and in previous seasons, but obviously he's not here at the moment. Indy tries to take on players 1v1 every now and then, but I don't think he has quick enough feet to beat his opponent 1v1. So what do you do? What do you do in this situation? I think Danley's an interesting choice. He has speed. He has good feet. But I don't know that he really has that ability like a Quinn Sullivan to take a player on 1v1. It's an interesting situation. What the Union do? Wolfie says, I don't think Cornell is going to change his system or take off Bruno. It's a system he wants to use. So yeah, exactly. I agree. It's either going to be 4-2-3-1, which again can be fluid and work as a 4-2-2-2. But I do want to go ahead 23 minutes into the show and play our first clip of Bradley Cornell talking about the work rate last night of his 2 strikers in Ezekiel Alladoh and Bruno Damiani.
The strikers went on every trigger. I think they went on every back pass. They went on every square pass. So from a defensive standpoint, they were the start of the clean sheet, So I was really happy for them. And then, their centre backs or outside backs, just lump it along. And then, then we start dominating the game again and building up the game into their half and taking control of the game. But, I thought Bruno battled away, got into some good positions, whether it was with the head or with his feet. So we had numerous times when we could isolate them on the back post, especially with the late runs into the box, and they did a big job of taking the traffic away from where we wanted to go to, and whether it was Nate or Frankie or Milan or Indy, I think we had a lot of opportunities on the back post.
Yeah, we did see quite a bit opportunities for the Union on the back stick, whether it be a corner kick, usually to Nathan Harriel, and he's heading the ball right across, or we did see a couple moments in the game too where it's a cross out to the back post and nothing ever came of those opportunities. But you hear it right there with Bradley Cornell. Part of the reason why the clean sheet happens is because of the press from the 2 forwards. And again, I feel like I'm just repeating myself from previous episodes where I mention it all the time, right? It starts with the forwards. The press starts with them. So Yeah, I don't have anything else to add about the performance from Bruno Damiani and Ezekiel Alladoh yet. And so we can go ahead and I think this is where we probably run the risk of going on a long rant, finding positives in a draw despite the game feeling like a must win. Man, where to start? I'm sure you guys have results or thoughts on last night's result. Yeah, regardless of who was in the starting lineup for the Union, regardless of the performance from the strikers, this is a team, DC United, that was coming off of a loss in the US Open Cup against One Knox. A team in the USL League One. They lose to One Knox on penalties. It's a crazy game. DC United looked horrible defensively. I would expect DC United to score goals against a third division team. But defensively, they looked in shambles. They looked in shambles. And this is a team, folks, that hadn't won a game since March 14th against Chicago Fire, which, by the way, was filled with a controversial penalty kick late in the game. Todd converts it. Since that moment against Chicago Fire, 2 losses, 1 draw, no wins. You get the win against CF Montreal, which felt like a must-win game after starting the season 0-6. You beat an opponent that you should beat, which, by the way, too, Montreal, I don't know if you guys saw this, destroyed New York Red Bulls last night or last afternoon 4-1. Insane. Fire the coach and get a result. Isn't it crazy what the manager bounce does? We'll see how long that lasts for Montreal, though, now. But yeah, you get that must-win game against Montreal last weekend. And now you have another opportunity against, yet again, another struggling team in MLS, in DC United. They come home. They come to Subaru Park, a place where the Union have yet to win this season in MLS. Already at 3 losses this season at home. A place where they only lost once in MLS play last year. And so this felt like a good opportunity for the Union to go out and get back-to-back wins for the first time this season. It felt like a must-win. It felt like, okay, look, the Union didn't look great against CF Montreal last week. You get 2 goals off of the set pieces. But this is a struggling team that just conceded 3 goals to One Knox. I know they were heavily rotated. They're coming off of a short week. There's questions if Tyberibo is going to start or not because of a thigh injury that kept him out DC United's last 2 games. And the Union, what did they do? Right? I mean, the bare minimum, they should have kept a clean sheet against DC United, in my opinion. When you look at the stats, 77 total shots for DC United in MLS, 4th fewest in the league. 19 shots on target, the fewest in the league. 9.6 shots per game, 3rd fewest in MLS. 59 chances created, 6th fewest. This is a team that has 0 identity offensively. And so at bare minimum, yeah, you should be keeping a clean sheet against a team like that. The bare minimum. The absolute bare minimum. They're a team that's played well defensively. I'll give them that. They played well, minus the Dallas game when they gave up 4 goals. And I know me and Nate Buchetti talked about this last episode, but what exactly what like there's no way you guys would have been okay with there's no way you guys are okay with a draw against DC United. A team that you're allowed now to take 4 points against you, by the way. You lose the opening game down in DC 1-0 thanks to Tyberibo. And now they come into Subaru Park, bunker down, park the bus, and yet again they get another point. 4 total points. 4 total points. We see DC United take off of the Union. Ridiculous. Shouldn't have happened. And Bradley Cornell, opening statement, talked about positives throughout his press conference. And again, I saw people on social media not happy with Bradley Cornell taking positives away from this game, taking positives away from this match. But I really do, guys. I struggle to be okay with the positives in this game when the Union should have got 3 points. So this is what Bradley Cornell had to say last night on the positives from this game.
First clean sheet of the year. Really happy about that. I thought we controlled a lot of the game, kept the game in the opponent's half. Tough when only one team comes to play, and their MO is just a little bit of a long ball battle, of which we kind of expected and knew. But when we could combine and take charge of the game, I thought we created numerous opportunities, and unfortunate not to score and take the 3 points.
And the Union had opportunities. And Cornell's right. I'm not going to discredit him. I don't disagree with him that it was important for the Union to get their first clean sheet of the season, which, by the way, was Andre Blake's 90th clean sheet with the Philadelphia Union. Congrats to Dre. It wasn't a loss. You haven't lost 2 games in a row now, which is a step in the right direction. 4 points in your last 2 games. But I can't see it any other way. I really can't. This is a team that you had to get 3 points off of. You simply had to get 3 points off of DC United. And maybe I feel a little bit different about this if the Union don't start the season 0-6. Maybe you guys, the listeners, feel a little bit different from last night's game. If the Union would have got more results earlier in the match, but it simply didn't happen. It's been such a weird season for the Philadelphia Union, and I guess, and I'm distracted watching a Manchester City fan go in on Union fans in the comment section on Twitter. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why you guys are getting trolled. We'll go ahead and take care of that person that's bothering you guys. First time I've ever done that, but it seems like this guy's just not here to be friendly with you guys. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get him out of the chat. So random. Probably because Blunder of the Week's going to Manchester City, so that's probably on me for putting in the show description, Manchester City. But yeah, we're not going to take this guy's trolling in the chat. Just simply get him out of here. It's ridiculous reading the comments from that guy. Just gotta love it, right? Complain about people on social media all the time with their faceless accounts, and they hide behind those accounts, and you guys are trying to be friendly, interact with somebody in the comment section, and yeah, they're just doing their best to troll and not be very friendly. So don't need to have that distraction in the comments. I did see the comments, guys. I did see them. So I do apologize for the trolling that was going on there in the comments. But anyway, now that I'm not distracted, yeah, I just struggle to find many positives. It is good that the Union get the first clean sheet. Haven't lost now in 2 straight games, but it's DC United. You've got to get 3 points against a team that was struggling as poorly as DC United have been. Jay says, I still don't understand why MLS teams actively play for draws. 1 win is greater than 3 draws, with wins being the first tiebreaker. And I don't necessarily think, and I think you're saying DC United, not Philadelphia Union, if I'm correct, Jay. DC United 100% played for a draw last night. The Union tried everything in their power to get 3 points. DC United had one thing on their mind and one thing only: come into Subaru Park, sit deep, let Union have possession of the ball, and try to break them down with the ball. And the Union had opportunities. They had moments. They created chances. I don't think they were great chances. A lot of those chances were shots outside the box, and we'll talk about that here in a bit, because I thought Jafet Seri had something interesting to say after the match, with, in his opinion, that being the most complete game for the Union this season. But everybody knew what DC United were going to do. They're going to come in here, and they've done it all season, right? They've bunkered down, and that's part of the reason why they've looked a lot better defensively this season. Yeah, Sean Johnson's made a lot of good saves for United this year, and that's why you go out there and sign him in free agency, because you know the type of goalkeeper that Sean Johnson is. We've seen it for years in MLS with New York City, with Toronto. But yeah, hasn't this been an issue for the Union for years now? We saw it under Curtin. When teams come into Subaru Park, they bunker down, they park the bus. The Union always struggle to break those teams down. They always do. Doesn't matter what personnel's on the team. Doesn't matter who's the manager. They always struggle to break down teams that sit in low blocks. And I get it too, right? That's difficult for a lot of teams in the world of soccer. It's not Union specific. You see it all the times. You see it with, if that Manchester City fan was still here, maybe he would agree. You see a lot of the smaller teams in England sit deep, sit back, and hope that the top 6 teams can break them down. And sometimes the bottom half teams get results against the big guys. And if DC United had a counterattack opportunity, yeah, for sure they would try to steal a point on the Union last night. But they only had 6 shots. Really didn't really cause any struggle to the Union with their attack last night. It looked so disconnected. I think a big part of that is because they just don't have great creators. And isn't it funny too, right, that the Union kind of similar in that situation where they seem not to have too many creative players 1v1 that can create something on the dribble. We have Woofy also agreeing, saying he also knows how we struggle with the low block. Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely know. Woofy says the buying time till the transfer window, they don't have enough quality in the attack, and the coach knows it. That can be true for both DC United and Philadelphia Union, you know, Woofy. Jay says the draw doesn't help either team, for sure. But DC United are going to try to find results wherever they can get them. Woofy says it's boring to watch. It absolutely is. And I would suggest you guys go and watch the Toronto Austin FC game, because the Union have Toronto on Wednesday. 6 goals in that game. 5 of them came in the second half. Insane game. And I'll just say from watching that game, a lot of back and forth in the second half. And if Toronto makes it back and forth against the Union on Wednesday, I think the Union probably struggle to compete in that type of game. I think the Union are really going to struggle against teams that just want to continue to go back and forth. But, Valerie says, I watched Toronto Austin. Good game, right? And especially it was a 1 p.m. kickoff. So you guys could watch that game before the Union game. Perfect timing. Thank you, MLS, for timing that so perfectly. But again, so I'm not just buying time anymore. I do want to go ahead and play that clip from Jafat Seri talking about that being the Union's most complete performance in his opinion.
This is our most complete performance this year. Obviously, it's always hard when we don't get the 3 points, but we don't come from a place where we have won a lot of games. So to get a clean sheet today, and I thought we played a really well match, even though we didn't win. It's tough at this moment. We wanted to win, but I think we did a good overall performance.
So internally, I mean, Bradley Cornell saying, yeah, it's a lot of positives from this game. We're staying positive from this match. There's a lot of positives we can take away. You have Seri saying, yeah, it's a positive result. It's a clean sheet. Again, not taking anything away from the Union, keeping a clean sheet. Haven't done that through 7 games in MLS. They finally keep a clean sheet. Finally. Led the league last year in clean sheets. But again, I can't wrap my mind around it. No matter how somebody tries to spin it, it just feels like you needed 3 points against DC United last night. And prior to the Montreal match, I was asked what I thought the Union's best game of the season had been. And I struggled with an answer, honestly. And I guess San Jose was, in my opinion, probably the Union's best performance so far in MLS. But in that game against San Jose, the best chances came off of set pieces. And the best chances last weekend against Montreal came off of set pieces. And last night, where did the best chances come from for the Union against DC United? The best chance of the game, I think we can all agree, was the cutback pass from Vasilev into Damiani. But besides that moment, it's a lot of shots from distance. You have Jesús Bueno opening the game, hitting the post with a long distance shot. Union intercepted DC United throw-in United's own half. Leads to the shot. Ball played to Bruno from Alladoh. Simple pass. Makes the right pass. And yeah, it's a rocket from Jesús Bueno. A lot of space. And unfortunate that he hits the post there on that play. Then we see the Union turn DC United over in their own half after a tackle from Bruno, Jesús Bueno, and Jovan Lukic collects the loose ball, and Olaski hits a volley from distance. Union keep that play alive, and eventually it's a cross from Lukic to Harriel at the back post, and then Harriel heads it back into danger for Jesús Bueno, and that shot gets saved inside the box. And then we see a little bit later in the first half, three passes. Three passes is all it takes. And the Union have shown us a couple times this season, they've shown us a lot last year, that they don't need a lot of passes to go from defense to offense. It happens from Blake to Macania to Damiani, sending in the cross to Jesús Bueno, and then his shot gets blocked inside the box by Markovic. Simple stuff from the Union. Don't need any skill to beat opponents 1v1. It's just a simple ball played from Macania in behind DC United's back line into Damiani. Again, isn't it interesting? We spent so much time talking about the runs in behind by Mikael Uhre. You see a run in behind from Bruno Damiani on that play that leads to the shot that gets blocked from Jesús Bueno. There's got to be more runs in behind. It doesn't matter if it's coming from Bruno Damiani. It doesn't matter if it's coming from Alladoh. We've seen it from Indiana Vasilev against Atlanta United, making a run in behind. The Union simply need more runs in behind. When that happens, they get opportunities. Unfortunate that Jesus gets that opportunity blocked. But DC United, they played well defensively, like they played for the most part this season. They put the bodies on the line. Then, you get a long ball in the second half that eventually goes to Olaski. Olaski then cuts inside to his right and hits another shot from distance. Union have a throw-in on the left-hand side. Westfield throws it into Damiani. It's a scrappy fight for the ball. It eventually gets played out to Sullivan, who does a nice reversal pass for Jesús Bueno, who takes a heavy touch and eventually gets blocked. A lot of block shots on the night from Jesús Bueno. Found himself in good opportunities, which is a positive. I think we can agree that Jesús Bueno, and that's why I'm going to end the show talking about Jesus, again, locking down a spot to be a starter. Made a lot of good passes on the night, a lot of good runs. Unfortunate not to get a goal. But again, when a team like DC United plays against the Union and they bunker down, it forces the Union to have possession of the ball. The Union can't press then. They can't force a turnover when the Union are seeing 60-plus possession of the ball. That's team simply saying, beat us from a shot from distance, which is extremely hard to do. Beat us in 1v1 play. Kevin Sullivan, again, I think can be that player, and I think that's why a lot of you guys think that Kevin should be starting games. But now, because you don't get the 3 points against DC United, I think this puts even more pressure on the Union now with their next two games on the road against Toronto and Columbus. Toronto's been one of the best teams in MLS this season. Come back against Austin one Saturday afternoon. Game ends 3-3. Again, I encourage you guys to watch that game. Very, very entertaining game. Very fluid from Toronto. They mix people around, players around so often. Their formation guys just float to different positions. It's interesting what Robin Fraser has done with that team up in Toronto. They look in completely different side than they were last year. Curious to see how the Union handle that. But this puts pressure now on the Union not getting 3 points at home against DC United. You've got to get a result against Toronto. I think a point wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But then that just means you have to go to Columbus on Saturday and get all 3 points. And Columbus is a team that's struggling too this season. And I do find it interesting that this block of 3 against Montreal, DC United, Toronto, and Columbus, block of 4. I think I said 3. It's interesting that the Union are going against teams that aren't in the greatest form. And there is potential for 9 points out of 4 opponents that you guys could have taken off of in these last 4 games, or that block of 4 that I mentioned. It's interesting, and I think if the Union get that win against Montreal, they do. They get the win against DC United, and then if they get a result against Toronto and get 3 points against Columbus, I think the fan base is feeling a lot different. But yeah, you drop points against DC United. It's insane. Aaron says, how much is the team missing Quinn? And Valerie says, lots. Yeah, there is a lot missing without Quinn Sullivan out there. We know he can shoot from distance. We know that he has a great cross on him. We know that he can create. He has good vision. He has speed, takes players on 1v1. This team is absolutely missing Quinn Sullivan. And yeah, it will be interesting to see what Quinn looks like coming off of ACL surgery. And I don't expect him to hit the ground running just like he was prior to the injury last year. But yeah, again, we're talking about pressure with Union feeling pressure against Toronto and Columbus. And will Quinn Sullivan feel that pressure, feeling like he needs to do something to make more magic happen, more moments happen because of the form that the Union have been on this season? Once Quinn comes back, which is hopefully around June, July, will he feel the pressure if the Union continue to struggle, saying, hey, look, I've got to help this team turn around to get into the playoffs? So something to wonder, to ponder. Does Quinn Sullivan feel any pressure out there, not being able to help his team when they're struggling to create chances, struggling to break teams down that sit deep? Wolfie says they looked in control the whole night, which is great, just missing the final touch in front of goal. Yeah, it is true. They created chances, just couldn't finish those chances. Sean Johnson looked great on the night, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they came up against a good goalkeeper. But again, a lot of those Union chances, like you said, Wolfie, I mentioned it, Bruno and Alladoh with those midfield missiles. It's going to take something special to me to beat a goalkeeper from that distance. And I don't know if you guys have looked at the schedule, and then we'll go ahead and talk about Jesús Bueno and then wind up ending the podcast here soon. I appreciate all the comments from you guys, people that are watching on Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. I appreciate you guys keeping me entertained, helping me do this show here as we approach 10 p.m. on Sunday. Not easy doing a solo show, especially when I haven't done one of these, I feel like, in a very long time. So Union go away to Toronto on Wednesday, then on Saturday away against Columbus, then you're back home against Nashville on Saturday, May 2nd. And then the following Saturday, you're away to New England. And then on Wednesday, you're away to Orlando City. So the next 5 games for the Union, or 4 of those are on the road. And we know the Union have been a good team on the road in the past. First win this season came on the road. Columbus, struggling team. Orlando City, struggling team. You've got to get 3 points, I would say, against those 2 teams. You get points on Wednesday against Toronto. It's a positive. Nashville, one of the hottest teams in MLS. Going to be a struggle. We saw last year against Nashville. Definitely a struggle for the Union. I think Nashville's a way better team this year than they were last year. I don't want to think what that Saturday game against Nashville is going to look like. New England can go either way, in my opinion. I don't think New England's as great as the standings say they are. Sitting there in 5th place with 4 wins. 3 losses, though, by the way. So, yeah, a lot of pressure for the Union. Finally had a home game, only home game of April, and you only get a point. And now it's going to be road heavy here the next 5 games. And I'll take it a step further, and I promise them we'll talk about Jesús Bueno. So once we look past all these games I just mentioned, then you're home against Columbus on May 16th. Then you go away following Sunday against Inter Miami. And then the last game before, that is the last game, Inter Miami. The last game before the World Cup break is Inter Miami. So again, you have 7 games now before the World Cup break. How many points would be acceptable for you guys, for the Union to get in that stretch of games where majority of the games are on the road for the Union in these next 7 games? I don't know. I think there's opportunities for the Union to definitely take points against struggling teams, but again, DC United was one of those struggling teams, and the Union don't pick up 3 points last night. Let's go ahead and talk about Jesús Bueno. Continues to make a case for a starting spot. We talked about it. Hits the post, has a shot saved, a couple shots get blocked, creates 1 chance last night, 1 tackle, 1 interception, 6 ball recoveries, 11 passes into the final third, which is what I love. A player that's looking for it, trying to get something going in the attack. Has he done enough in these last 2 games to justify to you guys, the listeners, to be a locked-in starter? I mentioned it at the beginning that Danley John Jock was on the bench. We all know he came off the bench in this game. But has Jesus done enough in these last 2 games against Montreal? Gets a goal, game-winning goal, and then DC United could have had a goal or 2 last night against them. Has he done enough to start? And if he has, what do you do with Danley John Jock? And I don't need to repeat myself. I feel like on this podcast, what I would do, I've said it the last couple of episodes. I play all 3: Lukic, Danley, and Bueno. My opinion, yes, 100% yes. Jesus has done enough to be a locked-in starter here with how well he's played. This is what Bradley Cornell had to say. Last clip we'll play of the night. This is what Bradley Cornell had to say about the form that Jesus has been in the last 2 games.
I've been excited with Jesus since my first day on the job. He's grown as a man, and he's emerged as a real guy in the locker room that keeps everything together. So, Jesus getting rewarded now with a couple of games, which is awesome. He's never dropped his head. He's always been positive around the group, and I appreciate his effort tonight and over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's been good, and it is good to hear Bradley Cornell say that he's been excited for Jesús Bueno since he arrived last year as the head coach taking over for Jim Curtin. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a difficult thing for Bradley Cornell to have 3 defensive midfielders to choose from. Who do you start? Who do you sit? Because again, I don't expect Bradley Cornell to bench Indiana Vassilev because how vital he is to the press. But when you have 3 defensive midfielders that are in the form that they're in, Danley Jean-Jacques, I feel like prior to the injury, had been playing pretty good too. You've got to get them game time. You got to get them significant game time. And yeah, sure, maybe that gives you an option off the bench. Bringing a Jesús Bueno who looks good going forward. Danley Jean-Jacques looks good going forward. But when you're the Union not scoring the first goal in games, have you had to do that 8 games through? Shouldn't you start with your most attacking lineup, your best lineup from the get-go and not worry about, okay, well, if I'm down a goal or if I need to spark off the bench, okay, maybe I should leave X player on there to be that difference maker? I don't know. That's where my brain goes. Just start your best attacking players from the get-go. You try to get on the front foot and try to get the first goal. Because we know how good this team is. We saw it last year when they got the first goal. Then teams started coming at the Union, and then the Union can hit on the transition. And they've yet to score a goal from transition. They look deadly the last couple games on set pieces. Shots from distance, whether it be Alaska or Bueno, is definitely a good weapon to have in your locker room. Maybe that opens up opportunities for the Union in the attack, because that would force the opposition's midfielders to maybe not leave as much space, opening up gaps for Danley, Jovan, Bueno to make those type of passes into the forwards, into the attacking midfielders. But yeah, I think I've seen enough now in the last 2 games from Jesús Bueno where he's got to be a locked-in starter. He's got to start on Wednesday against Toronto. He's got to start on Saturday against Columbus Crew. You've got to start him. He's a good leader. He's a good player to have out there. He's a player that leaves it all on the field. It's one thing you can't say about Jesús Bueno. He doesn't give his that he doesn't give his 100%. He absolutely does. And you know how much his team means to him. And we saw too when the Union brought him a few years ago. He was the captain at his club in Venezuela. And I can recall there had been some comments on this show in the past, or comments on social media, people saying that there are no leaders on this team on the field. And again, I've said Nathan Harriel, Frankie Westfield, Alejandro Bedoya, Andre Blake, all leaders. But Jesús Bueno, I think, is a strong leader too in this team. And so he's done enough attacking wise, playing the ball forward, where he needs to be starting these next 2 games. Simple as that. Just way too good to leave on the bench. But let's go ahead and talk about Blunder of the Week. So there were multiple good nominees for Blunder of the Week this week. And it's interesting too, if the Manchester City Arsenal game, if that didn't happen this afternoon, then I think I probably would have had a clear Blunder of the Week because of what had happened last night between Real Salt Lake and San Diego, when Duran Ferri, the goalkeeper for San Diego, he passed the ball straight to Diego Luna. It's a goal kick. San Diego having their center back pass, start the play. They pass it to Ferri, and then he just tries to pass the ball out wide, and then it gets cut out by Diego Luna. He has a tap in, and people, whenever Europeans see plays like that, always going to dog on MLS. But hey, why don't we talk about what happened between Manchester City and Arsenal? Why are those European fans suddenly a lot more quiet when, in my opinion, this was a worse play in the back from Manchester City goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma? Way too casual on the ball. Manchester City up early in this game against Arsenal. It's a throw-in for Manchester City. They decide to throw the ball back to Donnarumma, and he just gets caught. Way too casual on the ball. Takes a touch. Looking to pass this down, out wide. And credit to Arsenal's Kai Havertz. Closes him down quickly. And as soon as Donnarumma tries to pass the ball out wide, Havertz deflects it, ties the game up for Arsenal, in the 18th minute, 1-1, Manchester City go on and win this game. And I think maybe that's why the Manchester City fan was in here going to troll, because Arsenal continued to look like, yet again, another year, they're going to bottle the league. But yeah, that passing out of the back, just being way too casual on the ball, Gianluigi Donnarumma, that is going to be my blunder of the week.
Yeah, not good.
No, not good at all. So again, I mean, it's interesting. When plays like that happen in Europe, they happen not all the time, but they do happen. European fans, go quiet. Happens in MLS. You never hear the end of it. It's soccer. It happens, right? People are too casual on the ball. Players think they have way too much time than what they really do, and wind up conceding a goal that goes viral, a play that people are like, yeah, this is not what you want to do. But yet, every single week, or it seems like every single week, we see goalkeepers just way too casual, and they get called out for their mistakes. So, yes, Manchester City, Donnarumma, sorry, Jose, your boy gets blunder of the week. But yeah, it's a lot shorter of a show. It feels a little weird to be ending this show an hour in, because you guys know that with Jose and me, that definitely does not happen. And I'm just saying, guys, I'm just saying, no Jose, that means no super long show. We both love to talk. I mean, I just held a conversation with you guys for over an hour, which always feels so weird to have a conversation with yourself, look at yourself on the screen. But yeah, you guys, your comments help me push through the shows like this, and I still don't know how, before I was doing the live shows, how I was just recording the podcast, talking with myself without reading comments. Crazy. So I do appreciate you guys every single episode giving your thoughts and helping me just keep the show rolling. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcast of The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/freekickpod, live every single podcast. And if you guys want to check out my writing, the goals breakdown videos, which let's hope I'm able to upload that to YouTube tomorrow, or the podcast all in one place, whatever, thefreekick.substack.com. You can find all that stuff there. And by the way, if you guys haven't watched yet, I uploaded all 3 interviews with Kevin Sullivan, Milan Olaski, and Jafet Siri after last night's game against DC United. So go ahead, check that out on YouTube. I'm only posting interviews on YouTube. So yes, for people on Substack, if I'm not allowed to post goals breakdown videos anymore on YouTube, maybe you guys become the exclusive place for goals breakdown video, and YouTube becomes the exclusive place for player interviews. But yes, I appreciate all the support. Might have a podcast lined up tomorrow live, trying to get one from MLS. So we'll see if we can get somebody on for a preview episode for Toronto on Wednesday. Going to try to get a guest on for Columbus as well. So you guys might see a surprise episode tomorrow. Don't be surprised by that. If not, then Jose and I will be back. Oh, God. There might be 3 or 4 podcasts this week. It's a lot of podcasts, but you guys don't seem to mind it. So, yeah, we could potentially have 2 match preview episodes this week and 2 match recap episodes as well. But it's not a bad thing for you guys, I'm sure. But it does involve a lot of editing on my end, which I don't mind because you guys enjoy the show. So, yeah, as I go to try to figure out the logistics of all this, you guys have a good night. Because with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.